Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we have a really big project. We are going to be making Thiebu Yapp, aka lamb jollof, the Senegalese way with a little bit of twist. Like I always say, the fun thing about cooking is that you get to add your own little twist to it. If you're new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. As always, everything is going to be listed in the description below. Give me 24 hours and I will update that. Today's recipe focuses on how to make Thiebu Yapp, aka lamb jollof rice, for caterers. I will work on a recipe for non-caterers. Without further ado, let's go right into it. For the Thiebu Yapp recipe, you are going to use broken rice. Depending on where you are, you may or may not be able to find this. I have seen that people will use jasmine rice in replacement, but the authentic way to make this is with broken rice. Broken rice is one of my favorite rice. It is so delicious, so easy to cook, and it has a different flavor and taste than jasmine rice. The first thing you want to do is soak your rice. This is the method that I use. I prefer it over steaming it. Soak the rice and it allows it to cook or steam faster. Now I'm going to get ready and start prepping my vegetables. I use bell pepper, all different kind of colors, curly parsley, scallions, carrots, eggplant, cabbage, you name it. All of these vegetables is going to help us produce the best flavor for this dish. And when I was done prepping, cleaning, washing everything, I started giving it a blend. I blended my greens together, my parsley, my garlic, pepper, and all the other stuff. And then I blended my onions, bell peppers, and all of that together. And here's what it looked like. So I bunched up the onion, bell peppers together, and then the green stuff all together. That was just my preference. And I've noticed that sometimes garlic doesn't always blend as fine as I would like to. That's how I did it. Now we're gonna go to our lamb. The cut that I used was leg of lamb, and what I did was had the butcher cut it up into tiny pieces, and then I steamed it, let all of the water dry out of it, and then season it really well, add a little bit of water so it can produce a little bit of broth, and you're going to see what I do with that broth later. Now, in a large pan, I'm going to add that lamb I just got done steaming, just so that I could get it a little crispy and brown. Frying this also allow me to start building up my flavors. I am someone that's really big on producing flavors. You don't have to depend on a lot of salt to make your food taste good. Flavor is the way to go. Frying this not only makes the lamb crispy and brown, but it also introduces the flavors to the oil. Over time, you will see that the oil color is going to change. And here is what I'm talking about. All of the flesh from the beef just kind of soaks into that oil, and that allows my jollof to have that kind of like lamb flavor. Lamb is a smelly protein. I don't know if smelly is the appropriate word to use. It does have a strong scent. So that's why I steamed it earlier to eliminate some of that. And then I season it garlic, black pepper, a little bit of salt to cut it down a little bit. And then once it's steamed and fried, the flavor that it produced is absolutely incredible. Now, what I was just doing is just taking the lamb out of the oil. And then once that is done, I am now going to start prepping and frying my vegetables. This may seem like a lot, but this technique I have learned, and people have told me when they use it, they got incredible results, and their jollof rice was more flavorful than using another method. So when I took the lamb out, it's time to start frying. I went in with my onion and bell pepper mix first. This was a really large quantity, so I added everything into the pot and let it fry really well. Once I added my orange vegetables in there, I later went in with my green vegetables. So with the green vegetable, I did parsley, I did scallions, I did garlic, a little bit of pepper. I used Thai peppers. That's what I used to make it a little spicy. And then here it is. Here's my greens. Once I add everything on top of one another, you are going to fry this. This meal has so many layers to it. You can do everything right, but if you miss a step somewhere, you can change the taste and alter it for the rest. The first important rule is, as you are frying this vegetable mix, do not let it burn. Do not let it burn. If you let it burn, it is going to negatively affect your base, leading to a bitter and sour rice. So as I'm letting this fry, I am constantly stirring. I am constantly checking back on it. Now what I did is I added the lamb back into that gravy so it can get some of the sauce, and I'm going to remove it later before I add the water. Let this fry and be mindful. Do not go anywhere. Do not forget about this. Let this fry and be mindful of the fire. Ideally, I wanted it to be red, but I didn't have a lot of tomato paste, so I just worked with what I had. I did 1 can. If I had more, I would have probably done 3 or 4 small can or 1 large can. So that's just what I did. What makes one person jollof rice different or superior to the other is really the seasoning that you use in it. Get creative. Your base, salt, black pepper, garlic, right? And then start tapping into other seasoning. I added all my seasoning, my bay leaves, and I'm going to continue to let it fry. Over time, you'll see like the color is changing. The seasonings is just mixing up in there. This onion sauce was incredible. If you were my neighbor, you would have asked me like, what are you doing in that house? Because the smell, the aroma was just incredible. Now you're seeing like the color and the texture of the onion is changing because I'm frying it. I am very mindful of my fire. I am very mindful. I am constantly stirring to ensure that it does not burn. If it burns, it is going to negatively affect your rice. So stirring. You see at the bottom, there is no burning that is involved. When I let this cook for, let me say 5 minutes, I added my vegetables in there. The vegetables that I used was eggplants, carrots, cabbage. Put that in there, and I'm going to let this fry with the gravy for maybe like 7 minutes. I want this to fry before adding the water, just so I can just get the gravy sauce. Everything can just come together, and I'm going to let that cook. Again, I'm going to repeat, do not let this burn. Once you add everything in there, give it a good mix, everything is together, you're going to now add your water. I used the water, the blender that I used to blend the vegetables. I added some water in there and then added it on top. And then the broth that I got from steaming the meats earlier, I added a little bit of that just for more flavor without adding excess salt. Here's what it looks like. Look at how this is like coming together. The second important rule for making incredible Thiebu Yapp is patience. You need to be patient. Be very patient and do not rush this. If you are making this, make sure that you carve out enough time to be able to execute this well. As you saw me earlier, I now added my water. I'm going to close the pot and let it steam. And then once all the vegetable is fork tender, I'm now going to take it out. And it was just incredible. I mean, you can just set this to the side and just eat it by itself. That's how flavorful and delicious it was. After you take all of that out, now the last and most important step. We're going to go over the 2 things that I said. Do not let it burn. You must have a lot of patience. And I think that was it, right? After I take everything out, I'm going to set it off to the side, and it looked something like this. Saucy. It was incredibly like flavorful. The excess gravy on the bottom will really allow everything to just come together really well. And once everything was taken out of the pot, here is what my gravy looks like by itself. I didn't add a lot of water in it. What I now did next was the last part. I added my rice. This is where you can make or break your rice. I mean, just imagine, right? You've worked so hard to create a good base, your vegetables, everything's okay. If the rice does not cook well, unfortunately, like all your hard work will go into vain. And that's why the second thing that I said was you need patience. Broken rice doesn't cook, it steams. It doesn't need a lot of water. Broken rice steams. So you need a lot of steam to cook this rice and a lot of patience. After adding the broken rice into my pot, I just mixed everything together. I skipped the gym that day because when you are cooking this, your arm is going to feel like a noodle after you are done. This is about 20 pounds of rice, and it really just required a lot. It's heavy and it required a lot of stirring. So I'm taking my time mixing it up to make sure that the gravy, the rice, everything is just kind of like evenly mixed among each other. And when that is done, it's going to look something like this. I am going to close it and I'm going to do my first steam. After I do my first steam, the first steam is going to be the most important steam, because it kind of gives you an idea of how your rice is cooking. If your rice is going to be too soft, you're going to know it here. If your rice needs more water, you're also going to know this here. So when you do not stir, you flip. So take from the bottom, pick it up, flip. Because of how big the rice size was, it really took me a while to make sure all corners of this pot was evenly flipped. So you're just going to flip the top to the bottom to the top, get in the middle, because you'll see a lot of raw parts as you are seeing in this video. The top looks really well steamed while the bottom does not. You're going to close that and come back within another 45 minutes. Now, how your rice steam depends on how much rice you are cooking. So this is my second steam. My first steam showed me that, okay, this is a little hard. I need a little bit of water, not too much. So I used 1 cup of bone broth, like beef bone broth, added it in there, flipped it a little bit, close it, and let it steam again. When your rice needs more water, it only needs a little bit of water, and you want to make sure you do not add a lot of water, because a lot of water paired with the steaming is going to make your rice soggy, and you do not want that, especially after working so hard to create a good base. Now, after closing this and letting this steam, this was what I got. It's looking much better. It's not as soft. In the video, it looks a little sticky, but in person, it was like fluffy. It cooked well. Now, I'm picking this up directly from the middle, and it was steamed just well. This is what you want. I would say the water to rice ratio should be a 1-to-1 to be safe. I flipped it all around. Everything was good. Now it was just time to pack everything and assemble it. I made this for a baby naming ceremony, and everyone enjoyed it. I made about 2 pans, added the rice into both of the pans, and then I added the sauce. It was incredibly delicious. As someone who cook, sometimes when you cook, you make mistakes. If I were to do something differently, I wouldn't have made it so spicy. I didn't realize that the Thai pepper was going to be so spicy. Maybe I just got ahead of myself. It's definitely spicier than habanero, in my opinion. I would have cut back a little bit, but no one complained about how spicy it was, except for my kids. So it just made me a little like, oh my God, I hope no one else couldn't eat it because it was so spicy. But they loved it. It was well enjoyed. It was flavorful. It had so much flavor. The season was okay. The last thing I also forgot to mention is right before you add the rice, taste it. Sometimes if it doesn't have enough salt, you should add more, because the rice does absorb a lot of that salt, and leading your rice to taste a little saltless, if I should say. So once I added the rice, I started adding all of my vegetables on top. I added my beef, you name it, and this is the recipe. So if you are a caterer, you're looking to challenge yourself and try something, give this a shot. I hope this video was useful. If you're not a caterer and you're just watching this, I am going to create a different recipe for a smaller portion. I know that this is really large and many people are not making this, but I hope this video was useful to the person that it needed to be for. Give this a like, a comment, whatever questions that you may have, please leave them in the comment below. Liking, commenting really helps my small YouTube channel. And we're going to see each other in the next recipe. If you give this a shot, let me know. If you learned something from it, please let me know. And until our next recipe, bye-bye.